What? That you can find recording?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming. It's great to see all of your shining, wonderful faces. Nothing. You guys.
It's not raining.
You guys
It's not raining.
Yeah.
It's going to be warm today.
13 inches of rain.
You guys are quiet.
Is that officially the wettest?
That's what
I heard that we were like second for a while, but I'm like, well, but the month isn't over, and then of course it's poured. So
All right. So I asked Jeremy to come in. First of all, super proud of Jeremy, right? What he's accomplished. So for those of you who don't know, Jeremy joined real estate in 2023, August, September-ish, 2023, and started in productivity coaching, and was in productivity coaching through about June of 2024 when he graduated with his 6 transactions. And super proud to say that Jeremy capped in April of this year. So pretty astounding accomplishment to be in real estate for less than 2 years and already hit the capping point. So I'm super excited to interview him today, just kind of talk about his journey, where he came from. Literally started real estate with no real estate experience whatsoever, like most of you guys, right? But we're going to hear all about Jeremy and where he came from and all those good things. So, cool. You ready? All right. So we're gonna reel it back, and we're gonna talk about even before real estate. And we're gonna talk about, where did you grow up, Jeremy?
I'm originally from New Hampshire, a small town. Sort of had your normal upbringing. Difficulties here and there. My parents broke up, and when I was in high school and went to college, criminal justice, and yeah, just a normal thing. I played sports. I was big in basketball. Had some injuries. I stopped that, but yeah, just sort of normal, growing up. Yeah.
Okay. What's something interesting about you growing up? Did you have any kind of crazy jobs?
So in college, I worked at it was sort of like a bar, but like gourmet, fancy hot dog restaurant. There was
Tell
like
us more.
So there was like a 50 hot dog menu, and they were based off like dog breeds. And so like I can remember. So like if you would order like a Greyhound, it would be like a pizza hot dog, so like marinara sauce, mozzarella, pepperoni. So that was kind of a funny. It was called Junkyard Dog, so that was kind of cool. And then it was open late, and it was easy. Someone could cruise in and crush 5-10 hot dogs pretty easy, especially a night out or whatnot. So that was kind of a fun job.
Okay. So where did you grow up at specifically? Was it Central PA, or were you outside of Central PA?
New Hampshire.
Okay.
From New Hampshire, grew up in New Hampshire. After college, I moved down here. Kind of a lost kid, not ready to get into the real world. I had a buddy living in Middletown, Livingston State, Harrisburg. So I just came down here and just sort of hung out for a little bit. I got a job with UGI, the gas company. I worked there for a year or two, and then I got so my degree is in criminal justice. So I got a job working with Lebanon County Probation Parole. So I moved down here in 2009, got that job in 2011, and then I worked probation parole for 12 years.
Interesting. So, and you mentioned college, you mentioned you went for criminal justice, and did you say that you were at PAC?
No, I had a buddy going to Penn State Harrisburg.
Penn State Harrisburg. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college at?
It was Plymouth State University, way up north.
Okay. Do you have any family down here?
No.
So what brought you to?
I was a lost kid. I wasn't ready for the real world. I pretty much came down here to hang out, party, and just continue the trajectory that I was going in. And then I got to this point of like, what am I doing with my life? I need to start, basically I got mature. That's still a growth.
Okay. So, do you have any family down here?
No, just my wife and kids.
Just your wife and kids.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then
And you said 2011 is when you came here?
2009.
2009.
Okay. Like 2 days after I graduated college, I was at home. I'm like, I'm out of here. And I just had my buddies said, come down. And came down. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about your family, right? I know you have a big family.
Yeah, so I've been married for 13 years. I got 5 kids from just turned 13 to 7. So 13, 11, 11 in July, 9, 7, 9, 8, 7.
Wow.
It's a busy household, but it's fun. My wife's awesome. She has the hardest job of homeschooling. That's part of my routine now too. Real estate has been able to open up. When I was in law enforcement, I would have to work some late shifts, do weekends and stuff like that. So she did most of that.
How did you meet your wife?
At the gym.
At the gym?
At the gym, yeah. When I was living in Middletown, I would go to a gym in E-Town. And yeah, I was never, so she came, so we were working out together on the elliptical, and she started talking to me, so I was too chicken to talk to her. And I always had the perspective, the girl didn't want to get picked up at the gym because, she's probably already getting looked at and whatnot. So that's my excuse for no time.
Okay. How long did you guys date before you got married?
We dated 6 months and I proposed to her.
Wow.
And then we met in April, proposed Thanksgiving, and then we got married August of 2011.
So beyond homeschooling the kids, right? What do you like to do for fun? I mean, I know that you're a big family person. I know that you spend a lot of time with your kids. So tell us a little about that. What does that look like? What do you do with them? Where do you take them?
Man, yes, family's number one priority. Like I said, we homeschool, so we're always with each other, obviously. But love being outdoors. We, winters, hard months with everyone in the house. But yeah, we like to go outdoors, fishing, hiking, boating, anything with water. The kids love. And yeah, so the kids are super adventurous. My oldest just dug this 4-foot pond. He wants to make a fishing pond, so he went out back and just started digging by himself. So yeah, they're very hands-on, and
Very cool. So you're in law enforcement.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit more about that, right? Because obviously that was prior to this. So what drew you to law enforcement?
Initially, I think it's like, you want to help out people that can't help themselves. I initially wanted to be a police officer and then become a state trooper. But I just got this probation job just as a stepping stone. But I just stayed there for 12 years. As I got into it, I had with the probation and parole, it was a little bit more flexible schedule. We had flex scheduling. You had to hit certain requirements of like night hours, weekends, stuff like that. But then as I started having kids, I didn't want to become law enforcement because it wasn't so flexible. Like you could get stuck on night shift, and then if you become a state trooper, they could send you wherever they wanted to send you. So I didn't want to, as the family grew, I didn't want to have those restraints. So I just stayed there. And to be honest, I thought I was going to just stay there, retire there, and just, live that normal American life, I guess. So, but yeah, that's to answer your question. It's just originally just how people, especially with probation and parole, right? So probation and parole is you've gotten in trouble already, you've been arrested, you've gone through a trial or pled guilty, and then you're either, when you're on parole, you're coming out of jail, but when you're on probation, it's, before you go to jail. So at that point, it was really more of just trying to help people get on the right track. And I went through different seasons of that, meaning of like, before it was like really, I was really a tough officer, where, people didn't really.
You were hard ass.
Yeah, people didn't really like me. But then as I go through the career, I was able to get this balance of it. There's certain people that really made a mistake. There's people that truly want help but just don't know the steps to do it, or maybe just didn't have the growth. They didn't learn the tools to actually succeed, right? But then you just have people that they obviously don't care. They're going to do whatever they want. The bulk of my career was I was in the city, so I mostly dealt with most of my career with people that just didn't want to do it, didn't wanted to cause havoc. So then later on, I was able to just move into different roles. So kind of.
What do you think is, well, not what do you think, what do you know as the tipping point of, hey, this is it, enough's enough, I gotta get out of this?
Really, to be honest, my faith. For years, I was juggling with trying to actually leave law enforcement, but I wanted that perfect transition, like, find me a job that has the same benefits, the same salary, vacation time, since I was there for so long. And that was a huge perk. Being there for so long, you would recruit vacation like so easy. So just trying to find that balance, really trying to. I wrestled for maybe 2-3 years and just trying to get out. But then it was just one day, it was like, nope, this is it. It was super peaceful. And I submitted my 2-week notice without having a job lined up.
That's scary.
Not having, yeah, right, 5 kids, a mortgage. On paper, it didn't really make sense. But I just knew it was from the Lord that I needed. And that's a big thing now, is that my faith is first in what I do now. So.
Okay. So you made that decision to leave, right? So then what? Like, how did you determine where you were going? Did you apply for other jobs? What did that look like?
So yeah, I didn't apply for any jobs. So I put in my 2-week notice. During that 2-week period, I had a buddy who was a Keller Williams agent, and we had this. Our daughters used to go to this ballet class together, and we had this walk by 30-second conversation. He was dropping his daughter off. I was staying there because I was off. I took actually vacation time, so I could pray and fast about the decision. But anyways, the walk by conversation, he was just like, "Oh, you have the day off?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a day." He's like, "Oh, become a realtor and you can make your own schedule." And I really didn't think much of it, but then as like a day or two went on, it just really started to snowball. And then we had a breakfast, and I was like, "Hey, this is what's going on," because I didn't tell anyone.
Oh, so you didn't even know?
He didn't
He
even
just saw you, and it was just about your schedule. Okay.
Yeah. And I actually didn't tell anyone. It was just me and my wife's, decision and praying on it. Because again, I was wrestling 2 to 3 years. There was another time that I was going to leave, but like any big decision, they say, talk to your mentors, talk to elders and whatnot like that. And so I did that, and I actually, basically, I would say I was talked out of it. Because it was like, you have 5 kids, you have a mortgage, what are you gonna do?
Did he talk you out of it, or
No, this was
the other people?
at another
Okay.
time when I was gonna leave.
Got it.
So I didn't tell anyone what I was gonna do. So then when we had this meeting, it was like, this is what's going on. This conversation has no, no like bearing on what I'm going to do, but talk to me about this real estate thing.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about it, and I was just like, all right, tell me who I need to talk to. He sent me a number. I called I forget who it was at the time, but got hooked up with the 3 classes
Through Kaplan.
through Kaplan.
Paul's that.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, most of you probably know this, we offer free real estate education classes through Kaplan. So anyone that you know that is interested in becoming a real estate agent, get them to us. We can get them enrolled in free classes. That's exactly what Jeremy did.
And then it helps you with your KW shares. But so then, yeah, so I hooked up with that, and I hit the ground running as soon as like my last day was on a Friday. On that Monday,
You just started your classes.
I took it as a full-time job. I went to my in-laws' house because trying to do work with kids in the house was a little bit hard. So yeah, I went to my in-laws, got there at 8 o'clock, did the classes, did my note, did whatever. And then I ended up getting my license in a month, under a month.
That's
From
impressive.
when I started.
That's impressive.
And during that time though, there was just a lot of like faith steps. I could not pass the first proctor,
The proctor, the 30-hour proctor.
could not pass it for anything. I just kept taking it over and over and over. And I was here for probably like 5 or 6 hours, just going over it. It was 4:30. The lady at the front desk, it was time for her to leave, and it was like 20 minutes left before she had to leave. And I was just like, you know what? Let me go home, study some more, and I'll come back. She's like, just do it again. But it was taking me 40 minutes to complete this test. So I was just like, all right. So I just stopped. I literally stopped, prayed. I was like, give me the questions that I know, or put this mouse on the answer. And I literally took 20 minutes, seriously, 20 minutes. And I was just, to be honest, it was kind of half-hearted, but I was just like, boom, boom, I went through it. And I ended up passing.
Nice.
It's like, so it's just this thing of surrender. And then, anyways, then I went to the next step, go to the second proctor test. That took me 3 times to pass, but from learning the experience, after the second time, I stopped, I surrendered, and then did the same thing, and then I ended up passing. And then then I passed, brought my stuff to you, and then you gave me the bad news of, after you signed up, it's like, hey, now it's probably going to take 2 months
You gotta take the real test.
to take the real test. And then I was like, crap, I'm like, I don't got a job right now. I got to wait 2 months. And then, so I'm fresh off of studying all this stuff. Now I have to remember it for 2 months. And that was July 3rd. I went home, told my wife, we got down and prayed we wanted dates for that week. July 4th, obviously everything was off. We were eating breakfast on that Wednesday, so what would that be, the 5th? I got an email, said your dates are available. Opened the email up, and then the only dates for the 2-month calendar were for that week. And so it was Thursday and Friday. So I took Friday so I could study. Then I was like, what the heck am I going to, like, I got all this stuff. So the way I learned is I take tons of notes, like I rewrite definitions, I just rewrite everything. So,
Little did you know that the second test is like a fraction of the difficulty of the first one, right?
exactly. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to study it? So I just stopped, and then I was just like searching online, and I literally I searched in YouTube like questions on the test, and I found this video. It was like top 75 questions on the real estate test, and it was a great video. It went over the question, gave multiple choice answers, but then explained each question or answer. And I literally just studied that video, 75 questions, and then I made some more whatnot. And I just studied those on flashcards. And when I went to the test, it was felt like it was made. That video was made for the test that I was given, because it felt easy, and I ended up getting an 88 on both tests.
Nice.
And so that was really cool, obviously. And like no one believed that. So like my buddy, I reached out to him like, hey man, just passed my license. He thought it was only the first proctor
Not the
test.
actual
And
exams.
I'm like, no, man, I passed the state federal exams. So he was blown out. And then even with getting my license, so whatever we did, we registered it or submitted.
Did your onboarding?
Yep. And then I went down to the Harrisburg office. That was even crazy. I went down to the Harrisburg office then, and I only talked to a security guard there.
Oh, that's when we could go in to actually
Yeah.
get our license.
Yep. Only talked to a security guard. Now the lobby was packed. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be here forever. Checked in with a security guard. Literally 5 minutes went by, and a guy walked down and said, "Hey, here's your license," and he handed me the license. And so
How did you feel at that moment?
I was just like, let's go. I was just super pumped, and 'cause everyone, and then I explained, 'cause everyone's like, you're waiting forever. So it was almost like knew I was coming,
Mhm.
which was cool. So then I just hit the ground.
Secretly, I called and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, get your license ready."
The big Kahuna call.
Yeah.
Work that out for you.
Yeah.
I did.
But then I just really hit the ground, then I started the PC class, the first PC class. I came to right away. You asked for a volunteer. No one was raising their hand. I was like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And so, I just really just dived into it, took ownership of it for myself. Yeah.
So now you closed 2 deals in 2023,
Yeah.
right? So you passed your exams like the second week of July. We onboarded you. You had your license, and your start date was like August.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So probably end of July.
Yeah.
Beginning of August. But then literally, I was looking back, and August 15th and August 23rd, we literally got 2 signed listing contracts.
Yeah.
How?
The even crazier thing was my buddy. He was a KW agent. I was actually going to join his team because he was starting to build his team out.
Mhm.
And as soon as I signed to join his team, I got this. It was literally felt like a weight of basically it was that feeling of you made a mistake. And I believe I heard you trusted me to get you in this, why don't you trust me with the whole thing? Because being on a team, he was going to give me leads and all this stuff. And so again, I talked to my wife. We prayed. I literally prayed for him to come to me
I remember that.
to
I
say,
remember.
hey, I was looking at because he was just starting the team. And so I prayed that he would come to me saying something like, I looked at the finances because he was also going to pay some of my fees.
Mhm.
I looked at the finances and it's not going to work out. So, sorry. Well, anyway, 2 days later, he came to me and it's like, hey, I'm disbanding the team, but also I'm leaving real estate
Completely
altogether.
left. Just
Completely
left
left.
real estate.
Wow.
Left real estate.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we go to the same church too, and he believed he was being told to walk out of real estate. So it's just all that. So, anyways, he left. He was
Imagine, pause that a second.
yeah,
But imagine that, right? You just get your real estate license. You're all excited. You sign for it to join a team, right? And then all of a sudden, just boom, it goes away.
yeah,
Opportunity gone.
yeah. Because as a new agent with 5 kids, a mortgage, and I obviously knew how real estate worked. Just because I'm show up, I'm not getting paid.
We're always 30 to 60 days
Yeah.
out for a paycheck at a minimum.
Yep. And so I was like, okay, I had that perspective. I'm like, all right. So, and the reason why I was going to sign him, obviously, because it was new, he was going to give me leads, and we'll go from there. But then, so my first actual listing was actually from him because when he was closing his business, he had a couple people that he was already talking to, and he ended up giving me my first listing. And so obviously then did all that, jumped in with that, did my own listing presentation to the guy because that wasn't a guarantee.
Right. Exactly. Right. It was,
yeah, because
he was used to Sean.
right, yeah,
Right. He was used to Sean. He knew Sean. Right. He had a relationship with Sean.
Yep.
So there's no guarantee that you would have gotten that good percentage.
yeah, exactly. So he ended up going with me. We ended up getting that on the market, went fast. It's funny, I actually saw in it's that that first listing is actually for sale now by the agent
Who brought the
who
buyer?
brought the buyer.
Is that the one on Ford Road?
No, that
Oh, that's the one in Lebanon, right?
Yeah, the Lebanon City House. And the crazy thing is, so like, you know, I'm still coming, and this is something I'm still learning. I'm always learning of being talking to people better, and it's something I've had to work obviously in my marriage because of law enforcement training and stuff like that. Super direct, like I just if you don't listen to me, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, right?
Do this or face consequences.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that house I actually supervised.
I remember that.
I supervised the guy that
Yeah.
lived in there.
Yep.
And so I wasn't thinking, I'm walking the house and I'm talking to him. He's like, yeah, I've actually been in this house before. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I used to be a parole officer. Yeah, I arrested the guy, one of the guys that lived here.
Imagine that.
And then when I said that though, it was like, I kind of felt this vibe from the guy, and I was like, oh, maybe I should shut up a little bit. And so, but anyways, he ended up still going with me, which is cool.
When he
So
was running for the door.
yeah, right. So because and so when I gave him my recommended price, he's like, why this price? And I was just like, well, you're actually in a tough street of Lebanon City, and finding a desired person that want to live on the street potentially is going to be hard. And so that was the first time where I was like, okay, I can use my experience of knowing the Lebanon County very well because I supervised people throughout the whole county. So I know, bad areas to go, the good areas to go. So that was the first flag. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to piggyback my knowledge from law enforcement to this. So yeah. And then I ended up getting that multi-unit Palmyra from somebody I knew from church. So
Okay. So how do you? I mean, so those first two deals, right? So how did you navigate that, right? Because you didn't have. Who did you go to?
PCU, especially. So I would.
So full disclosure, when he was in PC, I was the PC coach. So when you hear him say that, that was
Yeah. So PCU, the other students, and then I think the one, and I know we'll talk about this more, but I think the one thing I really like about Keller Williams is experienced agents are very willing to help newer agents, but if you ask, and if you do the work and go to the, and so yeah, Justin LaPisca helped. I remember sitting down there, it was me, you, and Justin LaPisca talking about the multi-unit because they had renters, and so just trying to do those numbers and whatnot for the listing price. So so just navigating those experiences, like something comes up, hey, what would you do in this situation? Yeah.
Now that very first. So I'm going to dig a little deeper. So that your second listing, the multi-unit. How many properties have you sold with that seller?
So that one now, two.
Just two? I'm thinking
just two.
of inch by inch coverage.
Inch by inch,
We'll
yeah.
we'll get there. So obviously, the seller's pretty well known in Palmyra, has a bunch of rental units. So Jeremy was able to show him that he obviously can provide the best service to him, right?
Yep.
Sell that property.
Yep.
And then he ended up getting another
Yep.
piece of business.
Yep, got another piece of business from him maybe the end of 2004. And then I think I just remember just doing small things. So like the inspector was, just for that one property, my first property is just like small things that the appraiser called out. Not the appraiser. Yeah. So anyway, someone called out. There was just no cover like on a leg block or a junction block. That's a 50-cent fix. I can fix that quick before the seller even knows about it. The seller figured it out, but then he was like, "Wow, thank you for taking care of that." So I was just
Right. So that little thing made a huge difference for him.
right. And then I just had the perspective of just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. try to get the advice, but then just do it and just learn from just doing it. Just jump in.
Help work.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you closed those two deals, and let's move into 2024. So those two deals were your first two PC out of 6, right? So you had 4 more deals. So run me kind of through what did the beginning of 2024 look like for you? What did the end of 2023 look like? What were you focused on? What were you doing?
So the biggest,
Because obviously,
yeah.
you had those two deals that settled right away.
Yeah.
But then what, right?
So beginning of 2024, I had this mission of learning the contracts super well. And because obviously those first 2 deals, I'm still learning. I'm still like reading the contract as I'm talking to someone. And I didn't like that feeling. It just made me feel like I actually didn't. I persuade that I didn't know what I was actually doing. So I would want to get super confident with that. So I spent doing that, came to PC, and then I had an opportunity to do open houses, and I just jumped on that. Every opportunity that came, I would just do it. If I heard an opportunity and I had any inkling of like scaredness, I would be like, nope, I'm just gonna do it. Because I just wanted to learn.
You had the desire to just jump into anything and everything, right? As the opportunity presented
Yeah.
themselves. So before we move any further, let's go back to the contract piece, right? You said you wanted to learn the contracts inside and out. How did you do that?
I would read them. I read them over and over again, but then I would also then read the paragraph and I would write it out in my own, the way I would. So I would be able to, this is this, and because that's just how I learn, is just writing down stuff, reading and then rewriting.
Well, I'm sure that helps you when you put it in your own words. That makes it super easy when you're sitting down with a customer and you're going through it, right? Because I don't know about you, I'm sure you do the same thing. I don't ever read a contract verbatim to my customer, right? Like I literally, like none of you in this room have heard me do it. You have, like, remember when I did the buyer consultation at PC that one time, and we had the buyer consult there, and I literally just went through and I was like, all right, this is what this means, this, and literally in like 2 minutes, I summarized the entire buyer agency contract.
Right? Yeah, and it's just like I see the heading now, and I'm like, all right, this is what this talks about. It's like taxes, blah, blah, blah.
The crazy thing is that 95% of the answers of the questions that we ask, right, are in the agreement of sale. You just have to read it.
Yeah.
You just have to read it.
And with that note, that was a huge thing because I was able to, another buddy flips houses, and I've actually gotten multiple deals through. I got 3 transactions through this one guy. This is not the inch by inch builder, but this other guy, he's been flipping houses for years and well known in Lebanon County based off his work. And he got to a point where he didn't use realtors. I don't know, I forget, because I was talking to him and I was trying to earn his business, and I came from the perspective of what don't you like about realtors? So I can learn, go back to how can I learn and improve, even though you might not use me, and so I ended up building that relationship through, he wanted to see a house he couldn't get into, so I ended up getting him. We ended up going under contract on a deal, and there was something with this with the leases, and it was like crazy. It was a horrible lease. They had it. So he's a flipper. There's tenants, and obviously, in order to flip the house, the tenants needed to leave.
I think I remember this too.
And so so in the contract, I marked the tenant occupancy addendum. And it gives you 7 days to obtain the leases if they weren't provided initially. So we did that. They missed their timeline, and it was like, hey, where are the leases at? We need to see them. And they ended up getting the leases, and they were horrible. They were like, the tenants needed 90 days notice to leave. And then at that time, the tenants were like, we're not leaving. We're never leaving. We're going to die here. And so all that, you have a bad lease for the buyer, and knowing that the tenants aren't gonna leave, and so then they're gonna have to potentially evict them. So then you're gonna, for a flipper, right, you're gonna have maybe 5-6 months span to get these people out of the house. And so I was just like, hey, like, you're even lost because of
The
this.
fact that they didn't get you the leases in
Correct.
7 days is described in the
Yeah.
contract.
And so then I reached out to the agent. I was like, hey, a buyer's gonna be leaving. And she started flipping out at
The agent.
the agent. You're leaving, you're gonna lose your escrow, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're not gonna lose your escrow because then I just went because of blah, 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 blah. And tune changed, and then we tried to work something out, but then it didn't work out. And so, but then I say all that because he wasn't going to use a realtor. Now he's saying he's never going to do a deal without a realtor. And I've ended up
Because you showed your value
Yeah.
to him and you helped him get out of a sticky situation.
Yeah. And so, and then after that, since then, I've had 3 transactions with him. So, and you know, and we're looking for more. So,
And where did you meet this guy?
through church.
Your church.
Yeah.
But he said that he never wanted to use an agent.
Yeah. Yeah. It was gonna,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Has he done any of his listings with you then as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah. We've also done, so he'll buy a house with knowing the person who's gonna buy it from him. And so then I've managed that as well.
So what kind of activities, right? We talked about some deals, right? What kind of activities? So I really want to hit home on that. Tell me about what is a normal activity that Jeremy Breton does to get business?
Yeah. My biggest thing is focusing on my sphere and just building out those relationships. And through that, one thing I've really a perspective switch. I went to Bold, and I was at Bold. They asked for leads at the table. No one was raising their hand, so I'll do it. So I ended up getting extra time with the coach before classes, and we were talking to him about just my background, and he ended up talking about just basically, in short, just really trying to add value. But then one of the things was that a Bold 100. Basically, you make 100 contacts in a day. And it was at that time, it was around Thanksgiving. And so it really helped me it was an easier conversation at first, just learning all that stuff. But then, I utilize Bold 100s quite often. And it has been a really good, it has always produced something, maybe not instantly, but down the road a couple of weeks, because of just being on top of mind.
So go into a little bit more detail. What is a Bold 100? How do you do it? Where do you start? Right? I'm a brand new agent.
Yeah.
You're telling me in this room that I should do a Bold 100. How? What do I do?
So, and agents could have different perspectives on it. So basically, the Bold 100 is having 100 conversations in one day. That conversation could look different from person to person. For me, it's either obviously a phone call, text message, Facebook interaction. But basically, it's a back and forth conversation. It's not me just saying, texting and not getting a response. It's some type of.
So you only count it if it's a two-way conversation.
Yeah. On the videos that I send, I don't consider that. But anyways, to make it easier, it's any type of back and forth conversation. And it doesn't have to be this long conversation.
Yeah.
As long as they respond, okay, that means they took time. They had me in their head when they're texting me back, or whatnot.
What does that look like? What do you say? Again, I'm a brand new agent.
Yeah.
No idea. What do you say, Jeremy?
So for me, I'm just like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? If I'm creeping on Facebook, I'll be like, hey, I saw you. How was your vacation? Well, I saw Jimmy won a trophy. How's that?
So you're not talking about real estate.
I rarely talk about real estate unless it's brought up to me. In general, I'm talking to people, especially if they know I'm a realtor. If they know I'm a realtor, then I'll rarely talk about it. And to be honest, it most of the time comes up because it's just sort of right surface level conversations.
Oh, yeah,
we
hey,
have
how
here.
are you?
Yeah,
Hey,
how are you?
how's
How's
your,
work?
how's your job, right?
Exactly.
How's
And
work?
especially now they know I'm doing real estate, so most of it.
How's it going?
How's it
How's it
going?
been for you?
Exactly.
Right? They're all concerned. They're like, Jeremy, you got 5 kids.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
What was the best or the most ways that you interacted with these people, or was it kind of a mix overall? Like, was a lot of your contacts done through like Facebook and social media, or was it direct call, or just a combo? And
I would say it's mostly through text message and social media.
Yes, Jason. Yes.
When I make a call, I don't, and this is probably something I'll have to learn. I will learn. I know I will learn down the skill set of like cold. I want to always have a warm. For me, my perspective, I don't like people calling me to try to sell me internet. You know what I mean? I can only imagine, I get tons of business calls, you know what I mean? I can only imagine what other people are. So when I make a call or any type of conversation, it's sort of warm already. So like the example of like, oh, how was your vacation?
right.
So it's funny because, Rich and I were talking about this morning a little bit. And, I told Rich, I said, one of the things that my team does is like, we always look for a reason to call, right? And we've actually started making it so simple that now we're just doing a giveaway every month. Literally doing a giveaway. So for June, we're giving away Luke Bryan tickets, right? Luke Bryan's coming to Hershey Park. I see you guys. You're like, oh. But Luke Bryan's coming to Hershey Park, right? So I'm gonna buy 2 tickets. Yeah, it's $250, okay. But in the grand scheme of things, if I sell one house, right, and I make a $6,000 commission, what's $250? Right? That's how you have to look at it. Now, that also doesn't mean you have to spend $250, right? I've done them before where I've done a $50 gift card to a restaurant, right? But if you do something like that, you're giving yourself a reason to call these people. Hey, it's Natalie. How are you? Hey, I wanted to let you know I'm actually doing a giveaway for my business. I'm giving away a $100 gift card to Herb's Pub in whatever, right? Were you interested in entering the drawing? Great. I just have 3 quick questions for you, right? And then those 3 quick questions just become the real estate related questions, right? Now it's a little bit different than your process, but I don't know about you guys. It's much easier to call someone when I'm offering to give them something versus when I'm calling to sell them something, right? Or just trying to create a conversation because it can be awkward. Hey, Jeremy, how are you doing? Good. What's new? Oh, not much. Kids are growing up fast. Yep, they are. All right, well, sounds good. Talk to you soon. And it's kind of nobody does that in 2025, right? Like it's more of it's a very unfriendly feeling.
Yeah, and I also realized just that my sphere again doesn't really like phone calls. So I would call someone, don't get an answer, and 2 seconds later, hey, what's up? Yeah. And so it's also like just know your audience of how they like, because there are people that are like, oh, I'm gonna call and so to go back to your activities thing, I was trying to set myself up where I could do things repeatedly,
Systems.
yeah, over time, and for the long term. So yeah,
That's how you scale. Systems is how you scale, right? Systems is how you add more business to your pipeline.
Yeah.
Right. So Bold 100.
I was gonna say open houses.
Open houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open houses was big for me for the beginning of 2000.
So what is that? How did you find open houses? Who did you talk to? What does that look like?
So I got an opportunity at PC for just how hard I was into it. I hooked up with Jenny Glover, and she helped, and I started doing middle-way farmhouses, open houses.
So you're spending 2 or 3 days a week in a new construction neighborhood
Yep.
at the model home,
Yep.
right? tons of people were coming in, you're having conversations, some represented, some not,
Yep.
right? But your idea there was you just wanted to get street time,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, meet people, and not only that, just doing open houses for other agents, just meeting people, learning to talk to people. And so that has been open houses for me. I would say has been, besides the conversation of the 100 have been huge, just to meet people and again, and then build relationships with them. And again, of just knowing, and then I also knowing the contract well. Like, for instance, I had a guy at an open house, we were talking, I talked about the contract, I forget what it was, but he had an uncle that was a realtor. And he's like, oh, my uncle never told me that before. And I was like, well, you should know it, it's in the contract. And then anyways, so 2 days later, I got a buyer agency with him, we got it under contract, and we closed it a month. So it closed a month later. So it's just like, just knowing, going back to just knowing.
Making yourself the expert.
Yeah.
Study, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, right? Any professional athlete, what do? They practice.
Yeah.
They practice, right? So you have to practice with the things, the tools that you have, right? Practice with the agreement of sale. If you listen to Jeff Glover, who's one of the top real estate coaches in the country, runs a team, #1 team in Michigan, he'll tell you that his team literally chants scripts every morning. Every morning they practice. Literally practice, right? And that's just what any athlete does.
Right. I think the other thing too is not only practice, but practice how you would actually say stuff. Because early on, I would go to those trainings, and I'm like, man, that's totally not me. Like, and then when I would try it, I was like, man, I feel so fake right now.
But then you switch up some words.
Yeah, and then you just switch up words, play around with it, and then it becomes you. When you're truly bringing you out, people know that it's actually you and it's not some used car salesman script that you're just using. And you don't even believe it, because that's what I was like, I don't even believe this. How am I going to get someone?
You have to believe what you're saying.
Sure. And then also just allowing your personality to just come out again. It's that being just genuine.
So tell me about a regular day in the life of Jeremy. What, real estate wise, what are the daily activities that you're doing on a regular basis?
So now it's been really good, actually. I will wake up, breakfast, I get the kids ready, set up for homeschool, help my wife, but then I'm out the door. I'm out the door by 8 or 8:30. I'll go into the office, and then I'll just start lead generating. And basically that's going through Facebook, not just scrolling to look at the junk, but just sort of like either
Stalking.
Yeah, just making comments, messaging people, texting people, basically from 8 to or 9 to 11 or 9 to 12. I'll be doing that.
Win the morning, win the day, right?
Yeah. And then if I don't have appointments in the afternoon, I'll go home and chill. Or they go to the gym or the
So you're lead gen every day?
Yeah. Except the weekends.
Except the weekends.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're consistent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite word. Consistency.
Yeah, and so it's the other thing that I've been doing. This is more recently is I've been targeting certain neighborhoods. So I'll handwrite letters instead of just typed out. So like that's kind of time consuming, and you're halfway done, you mess up, put it up.
So farming.
Yeah, so I'm farming certain neighborhoods, and I'm doing it so it's easy, but I can do it every month. I can repeat it.
Consistency.
I'm not stressing myself out again. Yeah, and I'm not stressing myself out. I'm trying to. All right, David Becker is doing this. I got to do this. It's like no, where I'm. This is where I'm at right now. So this is all what I'm going to be able to do. Because to be honest, I already know. I truly believe I already know where I'm going to end. So I'm down here right now. So no matter what that process is in between, I'm sort of like, all right, let's go. Because I truly know I'm gonna beat Karen Becker. Like I truly like over here, like I know it for like just deep down. But and so this process, I'm just like along for the ride. So, but I'm not focused on Karen Becker. I'm actually just focused on where I'm at right now. What can I do consistently? Whether that's
There it is again.
yeah, like so if I have a listing, as soon as it sells, I'll do $50 worth of flyers or around that
In that
listing
neighborhood, yeah.
and be like, hey, this listing went up, so this past listing that I had, we got under contract in 3 days, it went X over price. I can do the same for you. And so I haven't got anything from that, but it's just doing that consistency, like
There it is again.
yeah, and so I just know that.
So as we start to wrap up, couple things. So tell me, what are you doing well right now? What are you most proud of that you're doing well?
Just sort of like saying yes to a lot of stuff that I probably wouldn't have. So like this, and like if it's like I said earlier, if I get asked to do, and again, you can't say yes to everything you're asked for to
Is there a
do.
movie called that, like Yes Man or something?
Yeah. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey movie.
Yes.
But if it's something that I know that is gonna like really stretch me to learn, then I'll say yes to it. Especially if I'm sort of fearful about it. And so that way I can learn, and then next time I do this, it'll be a little bit more smoother.
So taking
Yeah.
most opportunities that come your way.
And that was really the whole, just from day one, actually. I remember this. I was sitting in the back. You asked for a volunteer. No one was raising their hand.
I look over Jeremy, he puts his hand up.
I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it. And
What did I have you do?
it was I had to talk to them. We role played.
We role played.
Yeah, like I had no idea. I had no lingo, realtor lingo, nothing. But I was just like, well, I'm just gonna talk to a person like we normally talk to someone. Hey, I don't even know what it was about, but so I think it's just being open. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Someone say no? Okay, cool. You just go on to the next one. And from my perspective, just with law enforcement, it's like if I would go knock on someone's door and someone say no, I've had a lot worse said to me and done to me than a closed door or no.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that door knocking. Tell me about door knocking.
So I go with a purpose. I haven't done cold door knocking, but if I have a listing coming up, I'll walk around, say, hey, I got a listing coming up. I'm doing an open house.
Who do you know that might be interested in
Exactly.
living in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
Okay. What and I mean the other thing we also didn't talk about was just social media, right? Like your videos.
Sure,
your
yeah.
videos are awesome.
And again, using your past experience, so probably in 6 years, I'm really big into farming, like
Bigfoot farmer
Bigfoot
ranch,
farmer,
right?
yeah, Bigfoot farmer. So I had a YouTube channel for 6 years. I made a video and posted daily for 6 years about just small time homestead farming stuff. And I really learned editing, just all that
It's
stuff.
still on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah, I have 4,500
Yeah.
subscribers.
I remember
so-
when he first emailed me about getting his license, his email was like Bigfoot farmer ranch at gmail.com.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you even got on this topic, but I Googled it. Sure enough, here's a YouTube page that you
Yeah.
did.
And so if you Google it, you're gonna see a long-haired, huge
Yeah, you're
beard,
totally different.
like,
Totally different.
and so yeah. So then I've used that skill set to just try to with your social media, keep the story running, and then
Then you most recently were a finalist in the Best of Lebanon Valley.
yep. And the results, I know I'm gonna
Still
win
not
that.
out.
Still not
Still
out
not out,
July, but yeah, that that was cool too. And then yeah, just promoting somehow, just promoting yourself and trying to go from a genuine normal person, not really trying to be super salesy. Like again, I rarely talk real estate with people to, I shouldn't say I rarely talk like in my lead genning compare. So just be try again, and that's how I've been doing it. So maybe things are different work for you guys, but
What was it, Bigfoot Farm?
Bigfoot Farmer.
So what would be, give me two takeaways that these guys could walk away with right now and implement in their business relatively easily? What would you say?
I would say find something that again you can do consistently on your level where you're at right now, and think of stuff that not maybe you can do for 2 months, but be something that you can actually do financially, time-wise, that you could almost do forever, and then but could grow on it, increase your budget and stuff like that. And then we'll go back, learn the contracts so you absolutely know and you're super confident about it. So that would actually be the first thing, because for me, everything has come from that, to be honest. And then,
Walking into that, so it's one thing to get the appointment.
yeah,
Walking into the appointment and feeling confident of what you're talking about is
right. Because if you're not confident,
the sellers,
They're gonna know.
buyers and sellers are going to see that.
you're gonna know that. And then I think the last thing is really just be yourself. You hear all these trainings, take a nugget from it, see how you can use it and act with your own personality. Just be genuine. And then obviously have fun about it. Just have fun while you're doing it. You all came here for a purpose, for a reason. Just remember your why. Like I always talk like with a buyer, what's your reason why?
What's your motivation?
What's your motivation? What was your motivation to become an agent?
And it can change,
Right.
right? Your motivation to become an agent can be different than your motivation of why you're an agent now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But knowing what your big why is, why are you doing what you do, right? And that's half the battle sometimes. If we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, we're not going to give it 110%. Right? We have to know why we're doing what we're doing.
I got one more thing too. I think for me this is helped is don't worry, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and try not to look at what this person, and even don't even look at what I've been saying. You're like, oh, now I got to start doing this. Like maybe take a nugget and then just really bring yourself. Don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, don't walk away from this class and be like, oh, Jeremy said I need to door knock, I need to do open houses, I need to take over every opportunity that comes my way, and I need to do a whole 100. Right? Because guess what's going to happen? You're not going to do anything. Right? Take something that you've heard him talk about.
Yeah, because I know that I have a lot to learn still. And there's stuff that I haven't even tried. Aaron is super good at doing cold calls. Okay, and that's something that I haven't needed to use, but maybe there's one day that I'm gonna need to use, and I'll be like, I could go there. Hey man, what's your wordage? Da, 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 da. And so just I think just don't put so much pressure on yourself to have to perform after, especially hearing a training, like, okay, like you said, now I have to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and that's what happens a lot of times. I mean, from top producers all the way down to brand new agents, right? We hear all of these great things, and we don't implement any of it because we get too overwhelmed by how much stuff we learned and want to implement.
yeah, and because I was doing it until I made this schedule for myself of you could easily work all day long, or whether it's trying to just make the contact with people or whatnot, and then you're just like sort of grinding and burn out pretty quickly. And so that's why I came up with this schedule for myself, really focusing in the morning for myself. If I don't have an appointment, then I'm doing something fun, because my main work was done in the morning, right? Our job is to lead gen, try to get the appointment. If I don't have an appointment, then I'm not gonna burn myself out because then I'm gonna be stressed out tomorrow to do it all over again. So.
All right, so I want to know, put you all on the spot. I want your biggest takeaway from what you picked up from Jeremy's session. We'll start with Marie. Sorry, Marie.
That's okay. I was very impressed on how you just like left your job and then decided to start a career. That was very bold and very good. And doing the bold 100, I applaud you for that. It's not the easiest thing to do. That's my takeaway.
Thank you. Lucy?
Stay consistent.
Love it. Consistent.
Consistency. Yeah, there you go.
Good deal. Rich?
I think for me, it was, reaching out to your spirit, and we talked about that earlier too, right? So I think the not talking about real estate maybe necessarily, because I'm very salesy, and it doesn't matter if you don't talk about real estate. My experience has been everybody that knows that you're a realtor, they're going to ask you about real estate, so it'll come up. So I thought that was a really good idea. Like, they may not even need to talk about real estate necessarily, but be connecting with those people so that it's a warm call. Not every call has to be a cold call, and like I deal with FSBOs a lot, that. So that can be that's typically a very not comfortable call for a lot of people, but I thought that was really good.
Yeah, to your point, Rich, I mean, people work with people they like, know, and trust. So
Right.
build that relationship with them. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be based around real estate. Just build a relationship, and they will ask you in conversation what you do
Guaranteed.
or how the market is.
You'll get tired of talking about real estate after a while.
Well, then the other thing is I didn't want people to think, oh, Jeremy's only calling me to ask if I know someone wants to buy or sell a house. Because then,
Then they don't
it's that
answer.
time of the year.
Oh, here comes
It's
the
that time,
realtor.
it's that time of the month where
Yeah.
Jeremy's.
Oh, it's been 3 months. Here we are.
Yeah.
So,
Once a quarter.
so yeah, to that point, it's just like, I genuinely want to build, you can't be super friends with everyone, but I want people to know, like, I'm not just out to sell a house. I've given advice to people that didn't use me, what I mean? And so it's just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, going off of Rich, just being authentic, like you said, and being genuine, creating those meaningful relationships. I think that can go a long way.
For sure.
I like the way that you brought in faith, because I feel like you said that you make a lot of your decisions based on faith, and I feel like sometimes it's hard, like if you don't believe in something, it's hard to, like, you can lose track of that, so it's nice that you still put that into your decision making and stuff. I like that piece.
Look at you, Mama.
Thanks.
That's been a huge part. I don't know where people are at, but for me, what I like, it's literally before I'll start, I'll just be like, where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go and do? And I don't know, it's been huge for me. So yeah.
I think anybody in sales has to have a whole lot of faith.
When you're lead generating, you should always be working with intent, and deep focus is better than just spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day talking and calling people if you're just going to be bothering them.
Yeah.
So that would really take away.
Love it.
Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
So I think a good book to read would be called 10X. It really, so it's breaks it down by 80-20 rule. Usually you hear that with, like, food, right? But like really you want to focus in, the base of the book is like focusing on that 20% that is really driving, because the 80% is actually dragging you down. And so if you're super focused on for 2 hours, you're really doing more than actually spending 10 hours doing it.
And that's Grant Cardone, right? Where that,
So it's actually, so yeah, he has one too. Hold on, let me get you the one I am actually referring to.
Gary Keller is the one thing also talks about that too.
This one's, the one I'm referring to is Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy.
Natalie?
I think it's important, how you said, not to compare yourself to other agents, especially once you're first starting out and you're, especially at the PC, like we're coming in at different points of other people's journeys. So, and we're all walking a different path in life, so it's not going to be the same journey.
Yeah, I mean, you have a full-time job, right? So you're in here whenever you can, you try to commit as much as possible, but your journey is gonna be completely different than the next person out there.
Wow, I took a lot of things, sorry, I was like taking notes the whole time. I'm like going down, like, we should do it. But I think kind of like going off what Mona said, I think when I first started real estate, I was like, I was also working a full-time job at the time. So like my going like and doing my course online was like not as easy as like in a month. And I think right before I passed my exam, that was my big thing. I was like, God, let it be your will. And if it's not, then like, and I remember I passed by like a point. I was like, all right, we're doing it, we're going in. So I think just like keeping that motivation and just like staying consistent with yourself, really like just like being reminded of it, because I think you know it, but like having like that genuine remindance of it, or just somebody who's like, hey, this is what's helping me like stay consistent. It like gives you like that extra push motivation, like keep doing what you're doing.
You guys find that helpful?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jeremy, I greatly appreciate you for coming in, for sitting here with me and spilling the beans. Right? Jeremy's a great dude. He's a member of the Asian Leadership Council here in our office. He also runs one of the committees. He lives in the Lebanon area, so you'll see him a lot when he says he comes to the office. He's at our Lebanon location. But he's one of those guys, anytime you need anything, feel free to reach out to him. He will be happy to share it. All right.
If you're in the Lebanon area, let's grow the Lebanon office. Come in. That's not my picture.
So I put that in. So I put it in AI, right, to make that. Like I told AI what I wanted, and it did that. But I uploaded his picture, but it changed it very slightly.
It does not look like that's funny.
Anyway, thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, dude. All right, so 12:30, Chris will be here with his class. You got about 20 minutes. He'll have lunch for you as well. So stick around.
Before you leave, do you have a chance?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited to see it.
Want to see, I might got,